There is this story of a young girl who keeps on babbling about school and other experiences to her mom, who obviously is caught up in her work. To subtly relay the message to her child that she's busy and should therefore be left alone, she blurted out, "Your grandma will be coming over this afternoon and will stay for the weekend." Those words seemed magical. The face of the child lit up and her eyes glowed with fondness. The mother noticed the dramatic change and she asked the child, "Why the change?" The child simply replied, "I love Grandma because she listens." The Gospel for the third Sunday of Lent is about listening. It narrates the story of Jesus engaging a Samaritan woman in a long conversation where both listened, and in the process, transformation happened. Listening, according to the final document on the Synod on the Youth, is an encounter in freedom. No one can compel us to listen. We can only be invited. Listening calls for humility, patience, readiness to understand, and an effort to respond in new ways. And this is very important. It transforms the hearts of those who do it, especially when it takes place with an inner disposition of harmony and docility to the Spirit. Listening is not simply a source of information or a strategy for achieving a goal, but the way that God Himself relates to His people. God sees the distress of His people and hears their cry. Deeply moved, He comes to deliver them from their misery. The transformation that happened to the Samaritan woman is truly dramatic. Nobody wants to associate with her because she is a woman of ill repute. She is even the subject of unpleasant talk in her community. Thus, to avoid encountering unpleasant experiences, she went to the well alone and at noontime, when no one is expected to be there. But lo and behold, a Jew was there, and not just an ordinary Jew, but a rabbi, Jesus. Jesus, a Jew, is not supposed to talk to a Samaritan, and a rabbi is not supposed to talk to a woman, but he engages the woman in a conversation, and it was a long conversation. We can therefore understand why the disciples were amazed when they saw Jesus. Jesus, engaging in a long conversation with the Samaritan woman, is truly amazing. It shows us how listening can transform a person and an entire community. The woman who listened to Jesus became convinced that He is the Messiah, and thus she became a believer. And testifying to the community that she found the Messiah, they who used to look at her with disdain listened to her. They went to Jesus, and they too were transformed. They even asked Him to stay with them for 2 days. The woman transformed from being sinful to becoming a disciple and then an evangelizer. On the other hand, the community transformed from being spiteful and judgmental to becoming a believing community. Our world today needs people who listen. There is a prevalence of situations in our world today that show our incapacity to listen. Oftentimes, in our desire to placate a friend who suffers, we fall into the trap of conversational narcissism. In conversational narcissism, the I takes the center stage and not the other. Conversational narcissism shows that we are so wrapped up with ourselves, our thoughts and feelings and experiences, that we become deaf to the cry of the other. It breeds not transformation, but disillusionment and frustration. Our world today is wrapped in the grip of social media, where the opportunity to talk is vast, but the chance to listen is nil. In social media, everyone talks, and without much thought, everyone reacts. This situation does not breed transformation. Rather, it fuels misunderstanding and worse, division and alienation. Jesus invites us to listen like Mary, whose holy bewilderment was transformed into a gentle fiat after listening to the angel. Jesus invites us to be like him, who listens tenderly and without prejudice. Accepting this invitation means trusting that God always listens to us, unlike the Israelites who doubted the listening God when they questioned, "Is God with us?" Accepting the invitation of Jesus means hearkening to the words of the psalmist who entreats us, "If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart." As we commemorate the third Sunday of Lent, let us pursue the path of listening. This path is strewn with challenges and tempting detours. If we relentlessly pursue this path, we shall experience the transformation. Our sorrow will turn into joy, our uncertainty into hope, and our skepticism into faith. Let us then, in prayer, express our eagerness to listen by praying, "Speak, Lord, your servant listens."